video. So I'm gonna be showing y'all how to make my famous chili. You're gonna only need one special ingredient this time. Oh, and it's a lot of crippling alcoholism and crippling social anxiety. So let's get this shit started. Best celery you can find at Walmart. Tomatoes and bell peppers you can find at Walmart. An Italian sausage you'll never guess. Sam's Club. Because I'm fat and hate my stomach, I buy 3 different kinds of beans from Bush's Best. A chef knife and the butcher knife. The last thing you need is going to be a bottle of Lucas Grove's finest potato vodka. Step's going to be chop up this damn onion right here. So the best way to chop up an onion is simply to cut it in half. Try and cut the corners off. And then just sort of like... Because you kind of want to mix of half and half between a big piece and a small piece. Big piece means big flavor.
So remember, bigger piece mean more flavor.
Or if you're an absolute psychopath like I am. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you want to find the smallest saute pan that you got. Add a little bit of oil to it. And then wait for this shit to burn. I tell you to get the fuck away from my onion. Okay, so while that's burning, you're gonna want to chop up your tomatoes. It doesn't matter how many tomatoes you want so long as you're not a coward. I use 4 pounds. Best way I know of how to deal with the tomato is chop the end off, chop the other end off. Do that. Technical difficulties. You don't have to chop it up, but I ain't got nothing better to do, so chop it up like so. And then what you want to do with this is you're going to want to blend it in a blender until it's blended.
Wow.
I mean, while you're also at it, I guess you can go ahead and chop up the celery. And if your stove is taking as long as mine is, you can also start chopping up your bell peppers as well. Me personally, I love having small bell peppers because I personally hate the fucking taste of bell pepper, but you know, to each their own. The first thing you really want to do when you're doing bell pepper is to take the sticker off, but because I can't think 5 steps ahead, I didn't chop up the bell pepper. It's going... Anyway. There you go. There's your carrot done. I could have cooked these onions faster with a blowtorch. I'm just gonna start put goddamn all the tomatoes that you chop up in the blender. Do the same with the bell pepper. There's that, and just sort of overspray it. Because I don't have a lid for this. Seasonings, you're probably gonna want some fucking pepper, adobo, Italian, and some chives. From McCormick, because we love McCormick. Now that you added 5 different ingredients because you completely fucked up and forgot to record, it does look like pasta sauce, but that's kind of the point. We'll get to that later. These things are still not... Now I go ahead and add a little bit of that shot of potato vodka. Of course, the second shot for yourself. Good luck. The main thing you want to look out for is making sure that you don't start a fire. But me, I'm a professional fire starter, so I don't need help with that. But most of the vodka smell goes away from the pan, of course, not from yourself. You're going to want to add about a little over a tablespoon of the garlic. You could have added it before you added the vodka, but of course I forgot. Once your garlic's almost done sauteing, you add the celery and the other bit of the bell pepper. Oh yeah, 2 years of culinary school. And now the next thing you want to do is you always want to make sure that you remove the wrap from the beef and the sausage. Because I can tell you from personal experience, does not taste good. And then once you do that, you just flip it on over. Always make sure that the package is out. And what you need to do is one fine, you go, the ground beef and sausage is all grounded up. Now you just wait for this shit to brown again. Once your beef is starting to look like this, it's about time to bake out the crock pot that's about as old as you are. Hi, Luna. For these, I always use pinto, black, and kidney beans. Because as I said, I am fat and hate my stomach. Let's go ahead and always make sure to drain these shits too. Because sodium, I guess. You can use fresh beans, but I just don't have the time to make them myself. About now's the time you add more McCormick because we love McCormick. So now's the time you can add your crushed tomatoes to it as well. Also add the McCormick chili powder to that as well. At the time you want to add a little bit more seasonings to the beef, like more McCormick, more Italian, a lot more of this adobo. Hell yeah, brother. If it gets completely brown, you just want to take the small saute pan and put the beef in there. It doesn't matter if you get on the edge, it's going to the cats anyway. And bam. Do not actually feed the cats this. This has on. And now all you got left to do is cook this shit for 6 to 12 hours. I'll be right back. So this is 2 cheeseburgers and a fresh fry I got down the street.
Canada Pacific!
Of course, you always have to remember to stir it every other hour or so. Maybe hour 30, depending on how lazy you are like me. Of course, you gotta add the Cholula hot sauce. About 8 hours worth of smelling this shit and not being able to eat it later. It is finally done. And it's supposed to look a little something like this. That cheese looks fucking nasty, bro. Never buy a taco blend again. Thank you for coming to this video, gamers.